This is our consortium on translational research in the microbiome, advancing microbiome science. And today we will be talking about chronic pain and the microbiome. And our speaker is Adela Boniou. She's the CSO and founder of Catena Biologics LLC. And with that, I'll turn it over to Joanne Gear, our executive director.
Thank you, Denise, and welcome everybody. So I always like to just appreciate the folks that make this consortium happen. And our current leaders are Keith Bastian from the Institute for Life Science Entrepreneurship, that's at King University in Union, New Jersey, and Adela Boniou, who you're going to be hearing from Catena Biologics. They have really worked with us over the last couple of years to develop a really interesting community, some great speakers, and you'll be hearing some more about that very soon. Would you take the next slide, please? Westchester Biotech Project was founded in 2017 with a focus on supporting researchers, data scientists, and engineers, and those who love them, and bringing them all together across all the different silos of biomedical research. It's an area that I've been interested in for a couple of decades, and my co-founder, Michael Welling, is inspired by his now 16-year-old son who had to have 2 stem cell transplants as a baby. And when the family got through that nightmare, decided to find ways to give back and to inspire scientists who had just saved his son's life. You'll get to know Michael as we do various programs throughout the year, and his family is really inspiring and very energetic, a real whippersnapper there, who's 16 years old. Next, please. We have gathered many groups since we founded, and we've started to consolidate our programs under some themes, which are about our career consortium, which includes our clinical research roundtable, includes an ongoing workforce development, life science workforce development roundtable, and we're very excited. Our certificate program on essential skills in the lab, we've been piloting it for the last couple of years, and in May, for 2 days, we'll be providing in person, all working out, 2-day program, which includes lab safety, lab notebooks, aseptic technique, sustainability in the lab, and understanding the drug development process. So it's a really nice sort of literacy level, here's what this world looks like program. Our data analytics hub is part of where we hold the consortium on the microbiome. You can't talk to anybody without complaining about their data, so we feel like this all ties together beautifully. And really overall, we're looking at a Blueprint 2030. We actually launched it in 2019. There are growing resources in the Westchester community for the life sciences. We've identified some gaps, which I'm not going to get into right now, but we feel that we can play a role and enhance and articulate what we are learning from scientists about ways that we can really help to build the community. Next, please. We don't do it alone. We have lots of good friends in different organizations, and I'll just point to Montero Language Services. They're based in Madrid, and their business is all about, I would say, elite level translation and localization. So intellectual property documents, which have to be in multiple languages in Europe, clinical research documents, and so on. They've been a terrific partner to us. Next slide, please. And I won't go one by one with these. We've got some great programs coming up. Please take a look at our website, and everything's free until we have to buy lunch for people. So we'll be virtual for a little while longer, and soon we'll hope to come together. To wit, we have been talking for some time about having a conference which would be a hybrid with this consortium. And so I'd like to take some of our roundtable time today to think about topics, themes, speakers that we would like to pull together. like considering us a roundtable and even a working group today. We probably wouldn't do anything earlier than June or July. I know in my experience, summer events are sometimes really well attended because not everybody's doing events in the summer, but we'll work on that together. Next slide, please. And here we go. I'd like to introduce you to our co-chair, Adela Boniou, who is the Chief Science Officer and founder of Catena Biologics. Adela.
Hi, everybody. Just give me 1 second here to play my slides. I say play my slides. You know how technology lets you exactly when you need. Just give me a second.
Is the Zoom bar in front of it? There you go. Yeah. There you go.
I have not planned to give this talk. Actually, I think 6 weeks ago, I will not even think about this subject. And I think it's a very interesting problem. And I feel like as I've done more research, and I will tell you the story, what happened, why I'm here even. And I will tell you a little bit about my background and a little bit of Catena Biologics, but that's the last part. But I want to talk today about chronic pain management and microbiome. And the reason I want to do that is because I hit a brick wall, I can say that. But until my story, I will try to tie together what we know today about chronic pain, how we treat patients with chronic pain, and how we can do more and introduce microbiome, which is a main player in a way in it's this elephant in the room. I think I can call it an elephant in the room because we do not talk about it. It's so important and it has been in a way ignored, and that doesn't happen in other maybe like we are familiar with opioid crisis and how digital platform have helped those has bring a little bit opioid addiction in 21st century. And I'm going to finish my little talk today about talking about can we bring chronic pain the way opioids companies, addiction treatment companies have bring this problem for their patients. But how about I start with the beginning? And the beginning is over 10 years ago, I was a faculty at University at Buffalo, and my team was involved in multiple projects, but a couple of projects which come to mind, and I always enjoy working on them, and I think made me a stronger scientist, made me a stronger collaborator. I reach out to other partners. I kind of stretch. I am trained as a biochemist. I have a PhD in biochemistry, but I joined during my postdoc University at Buffalo. I joined ILPB, an Institute for Photonics and Biophotonics. And during this time, my whole interest was using nanoparticles as a platform for gene therapy. If you talk about gene therapy, when I started over maybe 15 years ago, gene therapy was not. Today, we almost each of us has used gene therapy because of COVID, but in the past, it was more exploring disease problems where gene therapy can play a role. And my team explored areas like we explore drug addiction. In drug addiction is not only the opioid receptors who just get blocked and you become resistant to opioids, but also in your brain, there is an upregulation of a signal. And that's what target our interest. And my team from ILPB, and I will put a slide with us a little bit later on with our work, but we dive into the subject and we use nanoparticles and we silence a protein involved in drug addiction. And we are quite impressed how we notice improvement in it's at the beginning when you start you use a concept, and we use a cellular model, but later on my colleagues continued the work on animals model, and the results are very promising. But coming in 2022, sorry, because we have been already 2 years. And one day I woke up and I was blocked from my back. I think I pinched a nerve during sledding with my children, and I end up in emergency room. And interesting enough, in 2022, you are treated with drugs which have been on the market since 1950s. And my options were opioids, diazepam, and prednisone. And I will talk about them a little bit in my next slide and try to understand, is that what we have for patients with the back pain? That's what, because in my mind, coming from, like I mentioned at the beginning, I had many projects, but some of them, they were regarding with drug addiction and nanoparticles and gene therapy, but others were involving chronic pain. And I work with an amazing group in South Campus at University at Buffalo. And this group was exploring how can we use the immune system and TNF and cytokine storm to be able to relieve the pain and the phantom pain and the pain who persists after the first injury subsided. And I was coming from this. I've done presentation in chronic pain. I work with scientists. We had conferences. We had round tables. But I've never thought, if you are a patient, you end up in emergency room and you can't move and you are in so much pain, and your options are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which they block the initial pain signals, the transformation of arachidonic acid in prostaglandin. The second, it's corticosteroids, and in my case, they give me prednisone. I still don't understand. Maybe somebody can help me to understand why I got prednisone, because usually prednisone suppresses the immune system, but if it's a nerve injury, the immune system maybe had a very small component, but it's like I'm going to talk in the next slides. It's the component is just so small. I don't understand why you really need to suppress the immune system, especially not when you go to a hospital where you might have COVID patients around and you will be with your immune system suppressed. And I don't know how that will help you. But anyway, I got oxycodone because the pain was so atrocious, and they block an opioid receptor, and they block the feeling of pain between the brain and the body. And the rule of oxycodone and all the opioids, you cannot take them beyond 7 days, or you shouldn't, and in order to avoid. But when you are in so much pain, what are your options? Your options are not too many. And diazepam, which increase the effects of GABA, and they put you to sleep. Interesting enough, if you combine oxycodone and diazepam in people which they have a low heart rate, your heart rate is going to go even lower. And I have very low heart rate. And let's not discuss about that too much because it's emergency. Chronic pain treated in an emergency room, I think it's a very bad mistake. And I think it's the responsible what has happened today for the opioid crisis. And the pain scale, which is everywhere in the medical system, the thing is, like, pain is so complex, and you can have patients which are coming because they have cancer, and they have side effects of they have pain from cancer. You have patients which they have fibromyalgia or osteoarthritis or other chronic pain. The thing is, like, not every pain in the state is the same, and I think back pain has an importance to understand the way the nerve work and how the immune system is interacting with that. And here is a little bit about my team. When we publish, maybe you understand my fear for addiction, and I study addiction. And the last things I would want to do to take opioids, either you take them in a very short amount of time, they block the pain between your body and the brain. However, in time, they actually upregulate genes in your brain, especially in your limbic system, and upregulation of those genes, like we actually silence using nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are meant to have the role of a shuttle. You deliver the payload, which was small interfering RNA. And it was the purpose of this principle is to shut down the genes and look if the opioid like behavior maintained. And we notice as we silence those genes, we actually notice this, we in a way break the chain of the opioid resistors. And you could have, like, the thing is, when you think about opioid crisis, you only think about the immediate, the opioid receptor, but there are actually, what we have done in our research, we have looked into the changes in your brain as an effect of you using opioids. And changing in your brain will actually, the moment you have an upregulated protein, it's very difficult to stop this addiction cycle. And because of that, the higher relapse on many patients. And that, Tracy, my team from University at Buffalo, Supriya and Dr. Schwartz and Dr. Prasad, my boss, and everybody else from my team, we work on the drug addiction, but I had other partners, for example, Dr. Inatowski and Robert Spangler. I call them the pioneer of trying to understand the pain and the immune system. And I think it's such an important aspect we kind of ignored. And, they have amazing articles in the Brain Immune. I spoke with Joanne. I'm going to share the slides. Please feel free to go and explore those articles. They are amazing. I think it just brings light in this interplay between the immune system and pain. And I feel like patients with chronic pain, they can be empowered by just understanding the immune system, how it works. And they actually have many other projects. They have a Brain Body Research Institute, and Dr. Tobiak here is actually helping patients recover from stroke using a more efficient way based on TNF and exploring the immune system. And a little bit about what we did in our work. I was talking about those nanoparticles. They are charge positive. You in a way, you upload your payload on top of those nanoparticles, and you deliver them in hippocampus in those animals. And initially, we just try to prove the concept. We work with cell culture. I mean, usually those projects take years to be able to see each step. First, you prove your concept in cell culture, and after that, you work on animals, and after that, you work on patients. And like you understand, it takes a long time, like each step to happen. And we inject those nanoparticles in hippocampus. Here is the site of injection. Your nanoparticles were fluorescent in this case because we want to prove the concept. It was the silencer had a fluorescent molecule, and you can see it, and be able to see where you have done your injection and what happened around the injection. Like at this moment, it's more of a mechanical process because we haven't targeted those nanoparticles to go and reach certain area. But brain has other issues, but we will chat about that in a moment. Anyway, and if you use this TNF, and the reason we choose this model is because we use a mouse model in this case, and we induce a sciatic nerve injury in one of the paws of the animals, and we inject the TNF in the brain. And interesting enough, we notice the moment you inject the TNF in the brain, you actually speed up the recovery of the animals. And we look in a long time, up to 20 days or 10 days. And we notice the moment you shut down the TNF, which gets upregulated in the hippocampus of those animals, they actually recover much better, because what has happened is you have a chronic injury, you have an injury on the sciatic nerve in this case, but actually the TNF upregulates in your hippocampus. In a way, our body has the memory of the pain, and we keep in a memory, like the king of our memories is the hippocampus, and we keep the memory of those pains in hippocampus. That is very hard to grasp when patients which are in pain and the injury is over, they still have pain, because the thing is like the injury of pain, you need to understand the impact of the immune system. And, coming back to talk about the chronic pain comes with 50 million Americans pay the burden of chronic pain. And right now, because my later part of my career, my company, we do market analysis, and I'm going to insert a little bit, some information about there are lots of potential on the chronic pain market. And I think the digital platforms today don't take those advantages. And the problem is with chronic pain is complicated. We have patients, the moment you are in pain all the time, except if you take your painkillers. And the problem with painkillers, you can't take them all the time. You need to stop. But if you do not manage in any other way, you get in this vicious cycle. You get depressed because also the side effect of the medicine you take. You become anxious because you cannot perform your task. You can't sleep because one thing about pain, the moment you have a pain in your body, it sends signals to your brainstem. But the way those signals to the brainstem while you sleep, they will wake you up. And of course, you are very tired, and when you're very tired, of course, you can perform, you cannot defend your PhD so easy. Your neurocognitive, your neurocognition changes. The thing is about, I feel like we haven't yet explored this part. And I think we need to invest more time and try to understand the importance of additional helpers in the chronic pain. Like while I was in a hospital, one thing about opioids, they produce constipation, and constipation is bad for your gut. It's bad from so many levels of your recovery. Then when you do that, in order to compensate, you need to compensate to nutrition. Like nobody tells you in a hospital. I mean, I know lots of things about nutrition. I know lots of things about herbal remedies, and I explore that on my own. And, I'm a big fan, and I understand microbiome, and I have like my background helped me to fill up some gaps, but I can understand if you first time in a hospital and you cannot walk and you are only in a pain medicine, which masks your pain, your ability to recover, it's very limited, and you're scared because you don't know what happened. And nutrition, like for example, nobody advises you drink some chicken stock, choose some anti-inflammatory, rich in vegetables, things from your menu. I mean, it's hospital menu, but you still can have some option. Try some herbal tea from anti-inflammatory properties. Because the physical therapy and the monitoring, that comes later. Because right now you are in the stage or you have an inflammation and at the site of inflammation. And probably the way we treat pain today, and interesting enough, World Health Organization has established those principles. And I feel like pain comes in so many flavors. The moment you prick your finger, it's so different with the pain you have from a cold or the fever you have from a cold, or when you have a nerve pain injury, when, like I said earlier, where you have an upregulation of TNF in your brain, it's so much different than when you prick your finger and you just look at to block the arachidonic acid and the regular non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It's so much different. And I feel like there is not enough attention to be able to discriminate what type of initial pain you have. The reason is because I feel like the immune system has not entered this field yet. It has only entered partially, and the drugs which are on the market from the 50s. In the 50s, the immune system knowledge was very, very limited. We did not know the difference between innate immunity and adaptive immunity. We did not know how the autoimmune process worked properly. We have much more knowledge today. And, the brain microbiome is in a way the highway between, the gut is very important. it's colonized by trillions of microorganisms, from the archaea to bacteria to viruses to all those create a membrane. And in a way, this army of soldiers, your first layer, you need to make sure you are very gentle on it. And drugs like opioids, they do lots of things, but are not gentle. And the microbiome is the one you can get compromised. And you are in pain right now, but the more you take those drugs, the more you compromise your best ally for recovery. The thing is, like, the gut, it connects with the brain via highway of the vagus nerve. And the immune system communicates with the brain through the gut. And we have also the immune system. A healthy gut will produce a healthy mucus. And the thing is, gut has this amazing ability to be a connection between the parasympathetic system and sympathetic system. Sympathetic system is go, flight, fight, meet the saber tooth, fight with it, and be really and quick. But the other one, the parasympathetic, when you eat, you rest, and you digest. And those things, they need to be in an interplay in order to be able to find an equilibrium between your brain and your gut. The thing is, like, whatever I explained to you, it's maybe better here. There's more granularity if we look. And if you want to understand, you have the gut microbiota. I don't have a mouse, unfortunately. I cannot show you every step of the way. But you have the gut microbiota. And the gut microbiota, maintained through the mucus, maintain this barrier which needs to be impenetrable. Anything who damages this barrier is gonna affect the immune system, which is on the other side of the barrier. It's the neurotransmitters can cross this barrier. There are actually four ways to modulate. We have the metabolic path, we have the neuronal path, and the immune system, and the endocrine. All those things, the endocrine system works because we need to be fast between those decisions, rest, relax, or fight. And the immune system, it's like the little soldiers which they go and they send those messages. And in order to be able to message, this barrier needs to be not compromised, because otherwise the changes in messages will occur. And what I like, I will, like I said, I add all those information in the slides. Feel free to explore those, because today I don't have time to talk about all those microbes which can be beneficial and help us. And, let's address one for all the microbiome as this elephant in the room. And in the chronic pain patients where there are not many tools in your toolbox, because masking pain is not a tool. Until you break this 6 week mark where you become chronic, you need to make sure you explore every avenue possible. And, the pro-inflammatory, the last thing you want to upset your immune system in this case. The thing is, like, the workhorses of the brain and the nerve system who can help you to recover is the microglia, the astrocytes, and they need to make sure they're activated. All those lines, the red lines, are the one which that upset and make chronic pain, aggravates chronic pain, and the red and the green line is the paths which they help, and they kind of modulate the chronic pain, and they rest. The GABA receptor is the one diazepam I was exploring, but we can explore it using microbiome, and you can exploring using much more in a way, using probiotics and using other like herbal remedies will help your microbiome to stay fit, and will help microbiome to have elements to eat and not become pro-inflammatory and not create even more problem. Don't wake up the macrophages, which they are known to maintain. Macrophages are those cells which they play for both teams. They're in a way peacekeepers, but they can aggravate and clean the area. But you need to make sure you know which way you need to activate them in a proper way, right? And the thing is, like for neuropathic pain, I feel like neuropathic pain, I give the biggest umbrella, but I think, the sciatic nerve pain, which creates chronic pain, and back pain it's very common. After I had my problem speaking with many people, I know a majority of them, they had chronic pain and back pain. It was really very frequent. You will find that. And interesting enough, women will have back pain more often than men because of the epidural during childbirth and all those other problems which aggravate in a way the back pain. But the thing is, like, the immune system will play a role how the recovery is going to happen. And we have other options. We have, the low food map is the fermented oligosaccharides and monosaccharides, the probiotics and prebiotics. And we had guests talking about the importance of those probiotics in our diet. We also have, it's very important to understand the role of vitamin D, and even little like melatonin will help you maybe sleep better, will relax you a little bit and give you some help during the night, which is not going to be like addiction type of, some other herbal remedies which they can help you sleep better, will help you to manage that. And of course, for in the cases where gut microbiota, the problem is with gut microbiota can be destroyed by the treatment you take. For example, in cancer patients, there are cancer patients which the microbiome gets damaged because of the chemotherapy, and they become resistant to chemotherapy just because the microbiome is not up to task. And that can affect you in a very that can decrease your life comfort and your ability to recover. And of course, in cases when some patients opt from microbiota transplantation, and that comes with lots of challenges, but lots of potential also, especially in patients which they have C. diff, and there are known to many other options in their cases. And another aspect I want to talk today, because I talked about how important is microbiome, but on a paper published by Jeffrey Lackner from University at Buffalo, attracted my attention, and I spoke with Joanne before. I think we should invite Dr. Lackner to our microbiome, because I find his publication is very interesting. He noticed the power of cognitive behavior therapy in changing the brain-gut constituency in patients with ABS. I actually am really curious in this piece of research, because that opened new possibilities for patients with ABS, which they experience chronic pain. And we know there is a strong connection between the brain and the gut, but looks like certain patients, they are more able to access this connection compared with other patients, which I think it's a very, very interesting subject. And like in the last part of this little talk I have, I want to talk about opioid addiction management using digital platform, because company like Pear Therapeutics, and right now I'm going to wear my coat from Catena Biologics and our market research ability, which we offer to our customers, our clients. And the reason I insert this piece of research is because it's a very interesting. It came to me as a surprise, because I work with opioid addiction research, and I knew the big problem and how you monitor those patients and how you bring them back to life and how do you bring them back to have a normal life. And what I know about addiction is not only on the receptors which happen in your peripheral system, but is also in your brain, your limbic system. When in a way you have upregulated proteins, which they maintain this vicious cycle of the opioid addiction. And it started, I think, maybe 2 years ago with the advent of the digital era. Many companies like Pear Therapeutic, I give you a Pear Therapeutic because I made like a case study for them, but there are other companies out there. It's a smart medicamentation dispensing system. They create electronic prescription, and they have an application where they monitor the patients, and they also provide the tools for the patients to cope with it. Addiction comes with lots of stigma, not ability to not hold a job, of shame, depression, anxiety, alcohol addiction comes on top of it. And, it's a kind of a personal way to just input your thoughts and be able to see your physician, not so often, because you get a chance to kind of understand what's going on. You get a tool in your pocket to monitor your life in a way. And interesting enough, the Pear Therapeutics space is actually it's crowded. Actually, there are lots of funding in this Achille Interactive Lab, or there are lots of other companies. The companies which I'm talking about, Pear Therapeutic, I don't know if you see this where I shared the screen, but it's actually $1.5 billion the IPO evaluation of Pear Therapeutics, which happened. They have gone public just at the beginning of this year or last year, but they are public. And what we could do in a way to improve the chronic management, the chronic pain life of the patients, how to manage them. The thing is, like right now, if you only try to mask the pain, the first step, the fastest step is going to be addiction. Because there is not enough tools you give to those patients. And when I schedule my appointments with my physicians, I can still not walk. Then I can only do telemedicine and get more drugs. But until I can get proper, maybe get a chance to talk with the nutrition, I don't even know that that's even an option. There are ways for those patients to get seen and get help before you end up in this area where you just block the pain. And blocking the pain, you alter the microbiome, and altering the microbiome, you delay the ability to recover. And you could potentially explore other areas. You can explore nutrition. You can explore the probiotics and the herbal remedies. You can try, the stress management by relaxation of the vagus nerve and meditation. You can try cognitive behavior therapy. You can also explore biomarkers in the immune system, like I talk about TNF. TNF is one of the cytokines we explore in my previous research, but you can explore more than that. You can understand other component of the immune system and consider it as a biomarker. And at that time, maybe from a blood test, you can figure out even the level of a pain because the immune system is like an orchestra. Every single song is played in a certain time. Then in a way, biomarkers will give you the idea which stage of the pain. And you're not going to have only the scale of pain. Are you in pain? Are you in a really bad pain? Or you just, in order you to be able to just dispense drugs? Because that will not help in the long run, the recovery of the patient. And I think I'm going to stop here. And, feel free to contact us if you are interested in market research, risk assessment, and product development strategy, healthcare outcomes. We have a new tool. We map and we use this tool has been a lifesaver for us and help us, our team, to become even more distributed during this COVID time. And we work with clients in US, in UK, and we have some Australian partners. And we look forward to hear from you. And if you have any questions regarding with my previous life, which is all about I'm going to stop sharing right now. Feel free to, I'm going to share my email address in the chat. And if you have any question about my previous life as a scientist or my current life, running a consulting team and interested about the market analysis, and just feel free to reach to us. And I think that will be all for today.